Hello friends, my name is Shivam from DevOps Schools and I will help you to enable your learning process in various technologies of DevOps, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data and many more. This is our initiative to help you by sharing multiple tutorials and videos. And if you want any specific tutorials or any particular topic, then please do comment in the below comment section and I will help you with it. Also, please subscribe to our premium services on YouTube, which will give you access to more content and videos to enhance your knowledge about all these topics. Also, if you want me to help you with regards to the online trainings and classroom sessions by our qualified trainers, then please do write me at contact@devopsschool.com. Thank you.
Elasticsearch, Nagios, New Relic, Datadog, any. So backend. So how does this StaashD work in detail? Right now, I'm not getting into that. But in short, StaashD is running in each server, and then language specific client libraries send the data to them, and they aggregate. Third statement is very important. Third statement, the StaashD daemon will listen to the UDP traffic from all application libraries, aggregate data over time, and flush it at the desired interval to the backend of your choice. That means it will send the backend of your choice. But this aggregations will be done in a some of the summary set. What is this summary set? So you'll be having matrices describing as minimum, maximum, medium, 90th percentile, 95th percentile, every 10 seconds. So all this thing is aggregations in the backend. So those will be done by StaashD. Look at this here. Different app sending the data to the StaashD aggregator is aggregating tool. And basically StaashD send that to the backend storage. It can be Elasticsearch also. That is how the StaashD work. Very popular solution, everyone uses. Look at this. Again, there's one Node.js applications. The library StaashD library is written in that language only, Node.js or Golang or Python, whatever it is. Over the UDP, just send to the StaashD server, and then from there monitoring backend. So this is, again, look at this one more. Different UDP to StaashD, and StaashD, look at this, StaashD can send the data to where? So StaashD send the data to Librato. I'm not used it. New Relic I know very well. Datadog I know. Graphite I know. Hosted Graphite also, and many other solutions. So StaashD send the data to the Datadog. But StaashD send the Datadog to for what? Which is received over the UDP by the client libraries. So you must be wondering, okay, StaashD is a different product, Datadog is different product. So why the StaashD is using, so why Datadog is using StaashD? Because Datadog has done nothing but, mind it here, Datadog has done nothing but extended the StaashD only. Yes, Datadog has done nothing but extended the StaashD capability only to make the Datadog agent. Yes, the agent which I was talking about in the previous slide here, dog-d, the agent, that is extension of StaashD. Okay, so StaashD, how it works, you know that. So now you will understand the dog-d also. So here what is happening? Datadog is a big fan of StaashD and use it extensively internally. Yeah, extensively and internally. For what? To submit matrices from stash D into the Datadog for graphing, alerting, event correlation, team collaborations, everything. So basically stash D is a part of the agent itself, and stash D send the data to the Datadog. So in a short, Datadog embedded the stash D daemon within the Datadog agent. Okay. So to make the setup as simple as possible, because stash D is very popular for collecting the matrices from the telemetry data and stuff like that. So Datadog extended the stash D protocol to support tagging. Yeah. So whatever the capabilities you have in the stash D, it was there, but they also added one more capability called tagging. What is a tagging? That means when you send the matrices of system, worker matrix, application matrix, or whatever, that has to be tagged. Whether this information, this data is coming from this CPU, is coming from the web server or app server or database server. This is called specific tagging. So tagging is enabled at the Datadog agent. Why? Because it has written on top of the stash D in the agent itself. So because of this, this is one of the killer feature which you have in the Datadog. This lets you add additional dimension to your metrics, such as application version. You can add it in the, as a tagging to that particular matrix, or type of customer for specific call relates to, and many other things. Okay, so Datadog made it very easy to discover stash D matrices in a Datadog UI, and every host will automatically advertise metrics, so you don't have to look for them. So now see that. So when we talk about the dog stash D, dog stash D is the extension of the stash D. Okay, so which is inside a Datadog agent, and dog stash D, what they receive the data from the UDP and stash D and send it to the Datadog cloud. So now dog stash D aggregate and parse matrices. Okay. So while stash D accept only metrics, yes, stash D accept only matrix, dog stash D accept all three of the major Datadog types: metrics, event, and service check also. So these are the major difference in the dog stash D and stash D. Stash D only metrics, and Datadog stash D, which has the stash D also, get also additional capability of event and service check and tagging also. So guys, the version which we are using currently is 8, I guess. But from the 6th version of agent, dog stash D is written in Golang implementation. Okay, so that is the dog stash D. So ultimately, yes. So now how does the dog stash D work? So dog stash D accept custom metrics, events, service check over UDP, and periodically aggregate and forward them to the Datadog. Because it uses UDP, your application can send metrics to Datadog stash D and resume its work without waiting for response. If dog stash D ever becomes unavailable, your applications won't experience any interruptions. As it receives data, dog stash D aggregate multiple data points for each unique metrics into a single data point over the period of time, called flushing at interval, which can be usually by 10 seconds by default. So by default, if someone asks you, okay, agent, how when they flush that data to the Datadog? Every 10 seconds. That's a default. Again, this behavior you can change in the configuration file. So now guys, you see here, dog stash D has a stash D plus many other capabilities which we discussed, and that is involved in the all of your generating three things. Okay, logs, matrices, and service check, events, everything. So guys, so these are the major difference of the stash D and stash D and dog stash D. So here, please understand this. If you want to send the data to the dog stash D, it's a very important slides actually. If you want to send the data to the dog stash D, the aggregation service bundled with the agent and dog stash D implement the stash D protocol and adds few data dog specific extension also. So dog stash D add few Datadog specific extension also in the stash D. And one is like a histogram metric type, service check, events tagging. So histogram which you get it because of dog stash D. Now dog stash D is enabled by default when you install the agent, enabled by default over the UDP port which is called 8125 from the agent 6 plus version. Okay, 8125. And you can customize it if you want it, but that's a default one which you have. So in the Datadog agent, you have a collector. The collector gather all the standard metrics every 15 seconds. And this sent to the, again, API. So forwarder, we have it. The forwarder, the agent forwarder send metrics over HTTPS to Datadog. Buffering prevents network split from affecting metrics reporting. Metrics are buffered in the memory itself until it limit in a size or number of outstanding send requests are reached. So that is a through SSL encrypted TCP connection to the Datadog applications. Okay, so this is a 5. Let's skip the 5 because we don't want to learn 6 and 7, or now is we have 8, I guess. So this is the agent which is for collecting infrastructure metrics, logs, and forward to the Datadog. So in short, this is the things. Now Datadog agent has to be change the behavior of agent also. Correct? You want to change the behavior of Datadog agent. So how can you do that? So if you want to change the behavior of agent, you have one file called Datadog YAML file. Okay. So here there's a 2 optional processes are spawned by the agent if enabled in the YAML configuration file. That is a one APM agent for the traces, and another one is for live process. So these are the 2 things you have to enable in the Datadog YAML if you really want to monitor 2 additional things. So I'll show you this one done. By the way, agent itself, you have a GUI also. Yeah. Agent itself, you have a GUI also. So agent, you can configure the agent GUI. Okay. On the port, which is 5002. Okay. So that if you want to experience the GUI, you can experience at the 5002, which is having a web browser. And in order to access the GUI, you would need to be in that machine itself. Yeah. So if you think you will access from the network, no, you need to be in that machine. So that is how you can check that. So you can enable the GUI or not, that you can specify in the Datadog YAML, which is a configuration file. So guys, when you install the Datadog agent, okay, when you install the Datadog agent, these are the three services you will see in the windows. One is called Datadog agent. Second one is called Datadog trace agent. And third one is called it a Datadog process agent. So if you enable the process, you will see this one also. If you enable the trace, you will see this one also, and agent by default. So these are the three services you will see, the process you will see in the Windows machine. Okay. Now, so by default, the agent which you are going to install now in some time binds the 3 port on Linux and a 4 port on Windows and OS X Mac. Which are the port bind it? 5000, 5001, 5002, and 8125, which on this docs-d use for the external matrices. So here 5000 exposes runtime metric about the agent. 5001 used by CLI agent CLI and GUI to send commands and pull information from the running agent. 5002 serves the GUI server on Windows and OS X. Okay, and 8125 used for the docs servers to receive external matrices. So if you want to work with the agent, you have to go to the path where the agent is lying, and there's multiple sub commands are there, which has a multiple capabilities also for the agent. These are the commands you will find for the Datadog agent. Sub command: check, config check, diagnose, flare, health, help, hostname, import, install service, launch GUI, reg import, remove service, restart, restart service, start, start service, status, stop, stop service, and version. At a high level, again, we will use these commands going further. Some of the command very popular you will use a lot: start, stop, restart. Okay, or stop, status. But check, run the specified check. Let's say you want to check something in the agent. So with the check itself, multiple checks are there. One of the check is a config check. Itself is a subcommand. So config check will check you the datadog.yaml file and print all the configuration loaded and resolved of that particular running agent. If you want to diagnose, you have to use Datadog agent, diagnose, execute connectivity, diagnose in your system. If you want to collect the flare, one small request metrics and send it to the Datadog flare command. If you want to know the health of the agent, health command. If you want to print all the commands of the agent, help command, host name. If you want to import someone's configuration file from the previous version, like a version 5 and all, import command, which hardly use it. Install service. If you want to install the agent as a service, then install service. You want to launch the agent GUI. Remember that for the agent GUI, you have to be in that machine because it open up in the 127.0.0.1. Then launch GUI. Reg import, import the registry setting into the Datadog YAML. Remove service, remove the agent from the service control manager. And restart the agent, restart the service, start the service, start status, stop service, and version. So these are the command agent you will work day and night. So you become comfortable with this as long as possible, because this is the only thing which you have. Now, next thing which you have to deal with is configuration of Datadog YAML file. Very important one, because this file, apart from those executable and commands, this file is under your control, and this file will decide many things. Okay, so datadog.yaml file, which define the behavior. Yes, which define the behavior of your Datadog agent, what metrics you want to collect and what metrics you want to send, which integration you want to enable, which integration you want to disable. Everything you can get it done through the Datadog YAML. Okay, so in short, configuration file uses YAML for better support complex configuration and provide a consistent configuration experience. I check also use YAML configuration file. Okay, look at this, the location of that file, all of you. In the Linux, you will find that file location under the etc. In the Windows, you will find under the program data, mind it, not program files, program data, Datadog, and Datadog YAML. That's the location you will find it. Okay, so by the way, Windows Server 2008 onwards, we have a support. Before that, there's no support for the Datadog agent. Okay, now if you want to know that what is the configuration directory, this, listen, here you have a configuration file, and if you want to if you want to control the configuration of your integration, integration means Datadog wants to, you want the Datadog to collect the MySQL database, MySQL database traces, or Apache traces, or Tomcat traces, or anything else, then you can write the configuration file for those integrations also. So here this file is being used for configuring the agent behavior. But if you have integration available for third party, 450 plus integrations are available. So if you want to enable those integrations and you want to modify those integrations, so you have to store the configuration file in this directory. During the demo, I'll show you. So here, this is the Datadog agent configuration directory, location in Linux under the etc datadog agent conf.d, and in Windows, again, program data, datadog conf.d. Now you want to see that what is the datadog.yaml will have the content. So it's a YAML file. And this is a template which has all the information. So see here, you have to spend more time with this. Here you give the API key, which is required. See here, basic configuration and required. What is this? API key, and that's all. So you have a key, and downside there's one called name. So here you can give the host name, FQDN name. This is optional though. If you do not give the name, they'll have a auto detected host name. They will take it up. But if you want to do some specific custom name, so you can give it. Tagging you can enable. So by default, you have a 3 environment. And if you go to the bottom section of it, you'll see environment. So by default, it's a production environment enabled. Okay, so you can have all this environment. This is a stanza, we call it. This is stanza. So all this thing you have in the one stanza. So if you have a proxies, SSL validations, TLS, environment name, and see here, it's a YAML. So start from here, but under this environment, which is a by default production environment, see anything you see has a space. So if you understand the YAML, this all entries, whatever you see here, it's coming under the environment. Again, from some more things are there, histogram aggregates, percentile, many things are here, which you can enable it. It's a pretty long file actually. Many things are here. Slowly will our whole time, next 3 days, one by one, we will enable these options here and we'll experience this is the log collections, and trace APMs and all. Here you have it. So again, it's a pretty long file. We'll see one by one, but in short, one file for everything. You have it. Okay, so we will experience this one. Okay, so this is the Datadog agent. Now, under the conf.d, you will have an integration configuration file. So that is the things we will experience this one also. Some of the troubleshooting skills. Now the question is how to start the agent. So if you're on Linux, you will start the agent using, again, license depends on the Linux variant. It's not always service command will work. In a CentOS on all systems, CTL will also work. Docker, Kubernetes, Mac OS, sources, Windows, all this thing we have it. Stop commands, we have it. Service status command, how do I check it? All this thing I'll help you with it. Agent status and all. So end of this, if you have understand the high level of detail of agent, and this agent only is the most important while working with a Datadog, because whatever you enable, you get it on the Datadog, and whatever you get it, you can create a monitor on that. Monitor means alerts on that. So guys, what do you want to do? So typically, as throughout the sessions, we will work with the agent, create a dashboard, create a monitoring. Monitoring means alerting, install more integration, analyze the log, APMs, and work as a team and then work together. So this is the end of it. So now I think we'll go into the demo, but before that, any questions anyone have? Any questions? Okay, so what you want to monitor it? So here for time being, I will not be so much of serious. I will select something and next. And this is important, guys. Agent setup. This is important. So guys, we'll have to have some flow here. Okay, so we need to have a flow here. At a high level, Datadog integration, Datadog introduction, sorry. This is the high level flow. Introduction and day one, Datadog agent.
Please enroll our general membership for $399 plan to get access of all the parts.
Along with that, you can access our other tutorials such as Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, Terraform, Splunk, AWS, Azure, and various other DevOps related premium tutorials with our channel membership. If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopsschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the $399 plan and grow your skills immensely. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Thanks for watching.